Now, if I can only manage to upload it correctly, we'll be fine. So, welcome. So, what God's issues do you arrive with, if any, or none? No difficulties at all?
Oh, no.
No, there's
So
some.
many we can't number them.
Yeah,
No.
where to start? I think for movement one, I have a hard time with the twisting of the arms. It feels very difficult to parse that out for me. It seems like, especially on the way up, they just get to where they're gonna be and then go up. Been trying to improve that, kind of unsuccessfully. So
I think for me, one of the things, and when you say that, Adam, that I'm reminded that I went through some issues with that. And the thing that really helped me was that as you start each movement, if you make sure that you twist and bend in at the bottom before you start up, then you have some place to twist and extend out from. If you don't, you're right. It would have to be extremely subtle, still possible, and might be perfectly fine at a more advanced level, but in the beginning, that's pretty tough.
yeah.
So that, for me, that was the thing that made that more possible, more made easier at the beginning.
Okay.
Do you understand what I mean by that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Coming up, how quickly do the elbows get to the side, like this on the side? Because I think that's what I think I might get them there too quickly.
So that's determined by maintaining the space in the armpits. So
Okay.
they get there as quickly as they can without closing off the armpits.
Okay.
And that's true. That's true throughout everything we do, really.
Okay. All right.
Good question. And
then making sure as you're doing that, you don't move up so fast physically, like that that you don't stretch your body to the point where now then you're waiting for your hands. I think that kind of, those kind of like, okay, yeah, I think I got this one. Oops.
yeah.
Like not paying attention then and finding yourself, oh, I think my hands are doing really well. And I've been standing straight up for a second or two.
Yep.
So, yeah.
No, that's a good point. And also not extending the arms too soon. It's very easy to have them fully extended when they aren't anywhere near the top of their movement.
Yeah, that's a challenge throughout, to get the twisting and the extending and everything to be gradual through the whole deal.
That's right. That's exactly right. And finding that coordination is part of what leads you to being aware of and able to navigate smoothly the crossover points at top and bottom.
It might be relevant what
yeah, I always try to work on one thing at least a week, but one thing in particular. And this week it was Rick's business about the elbows being dropped and relaxed
Relaxed.
down. And that made every movement different. And that seems like it would allow the elbows to get in faster and in better condition on one at least. Yeah.
Actually, not only in one.
In one, right, throughout, yeah.
No, that's it.
It was an adventure trying to monitor that as a new technique throughout.
No, and that's a very good point. I was why I wanted to make a point of sharing that with you, because it does make an incredible difference. It keeps the shoulders relaxed and dropped. It helps get the elbows into the side channels sooner and without closing off the armpits. It makes a lot of those movements of getting the elbows into the side channels easier, as well as moving the energy more easily through the arms. And perhaps connecting more easily to the scapula. It's just a really significant little addition.
Yeah.
It has more than a little effect.
Yes.
Good. So, why don't you start off by doing a short flow? Just do a little gods to get us going today. Thinking about these things that we've just spoken about, but particularly the relaxed and dropped elbows. I am serious about short. Just do about 6 repetitions.
Okay.
If that's too few for you, you can do 8. So I seem to have blocked Adam, and I don't know how to get him back. Anybody run into this before?
Maybe I can just hop out and hop back in, David. Maybe that'll be the easiest way.
Oh, that might be better, yeah.
Probably,
Good idea.
yes. Because I don't
Okay.
know how to do it. Sorry.
All good, Beer.
Yeah, I don't know how you do only one. I know you had to do all of them.
I don't know how I did that even.
The mysteries.
The Zoom has too many possibilities.
It does.
I suppose that's useful for some people, but
Block the problem, people. I didn't assume that was happening, but you can do that. There you go.
is good.
There we go.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, actually watching you. I realized that Bill reminding us about the relaxed elbows was really good because I could see it not happening.
Yes,
So that's one thing that I'd like you to, this week as you're practicing, to kind of begin to try to be aware of. So in one, making sure that you're continually extending as you come up, and then continually twisting as you come down, so that you have some place to go to. And what I'm seeing happening is that as you're coming up, I see an indication that the elbows want to come in, but they're not coming all the way. And that's not true of everybody, but I'd like you this week, if you have a chance, to do a little practice in front of a mirror. I wish you were all in my presence. I want to put my hands on you and move you into position. But sometimes looking at yourself in a mirror can be helpful, because then you can see what you're doing. So that would be one thing in one. In two, I think one of the things I wanted to say about two, and most of you are doing two pretty well, is don't flatten out the top of that. Make sure that you get the sphere of the movement. That doesn't mean you have to be here. You could be there. It can also be much lower, but don't lose the roundness of the upper part of the movement. In three, two things I guess I'll say. One is that when you go to 3 and 3 and 9, ideally you are 100% on that foot or close to it. You still have a positive connection through the other foot, but you don't have weight on it. As a matter of fact, I saw in one case where as you went here, you were shifting to the opposite foot. That's absolutely wrong. So make sure that your weight is making that circle of the dantian. And as you come to 3 and 6, you're as fully weighted as you reasonably can be. And that doesn't have to be 100% yet, but that's what you're working towards. So that you are really on that foot as you're extending out. The other thing is that now that we are twisting in all the way to the other side, make sure that that is happening through that movement, not in, hold, extend out. Needs to be continuous, as we were talking about earlier. 4, there's still, that's probably the one where we need to think about the elbows most. Because notice my elbows are right on the side channels coming down. And yes, I have to move them out. But then as you come up, if you relax your elbows and drop them, they come right back in. So you're not coming here and doing, this is what I'm seeing happening a lot. So the elbows should not be out here, they should be here. So you're spreading to the sides, and then the elbows are dropping as you come up, so that you're getting the elbows in. They don't come in immediately. I'm not suggesting that. But you're in the process right away of softening and relaxing those elbows in as you come up.
David?
Yeah.
The three, if you do 3 to 6 to 9, you're saying that we're twisting in all the way through until we get back over to 9,
Yep.
start going out, or does
Yes.
it start? Okay. I have definitely not been doing that.
Well, I'm not sure how much I've talked about that yet, but that is what we are aiming towards. Yes. So we're twisting in, twisting out, twisting in. Notice my elbows coming in, out, 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 in, out. Okay.
Yeah. I guess that kind of raises for me a whole bunch of other questions of how you're coordinating, because usually we transition our twisting everywhere else with, coming out of the C curve and all the. So you just made that one even more complicated.
And I would have to say that was intentional.
Yeah, right.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes. Clear.
I like other questions in there. So Bill's reminder to us that relaxing and dropping the elbows is constantly an important point. Good. Any other questions? Okay. So I'm going to continue today, not adding anything new to God's, sort of. not anything new in terms of movement. We've got a lot more. We're approaching about halfway through this training as I have it. And so it's kind of good, I think, sometimes not to introduce a new movement factor, but this is a little more internal one. So in this particular moment in time, what's happening is a big deal. But in any time, in any place, under any circumstance, there's going to be an equivalent of anxiety in a period of massive flux and transition. And we are in a transition right now. This period of time is a transition. We're in a transition to a whole other way of what labor is probably going to be like on this planet. We're in a whole transition about whether humans may or may not vacate this planet. Global warming has the ability to kill everybody on this planet. No, maybe about that. But who knows? You hope for the best, and we will find out. Time will tell. But in any extreme period of transition, the biggest thing that characterizes it is that there is fear about the future. There is nothing you can do about it. You can be very happy about it or think that everything is going to be okay. We're entering a golden age, but you also could just as easily think, oh boy, here it comes. And in the times we live in, and there's nothing we can do about it. And whether you take a position of things are going to get better or things are going to get worse, there is anxiety associated with both of those. So for the moment, file what I've just said away somewhere and we may come back to it. But now I want to focus on relaxing and dissolving. And I want to take this as a general thing because there's a lot of things that go on inside people that are not anxiety. And that's just the number one on the popularity list. But people's nervous systems get jammed up all the time for a million different reasons. Probably the biggest single reason, if you have underlying stuff in you that jams up your nervous system, is because from the time you were in the womb, you were trained to have your nervous system go berserk. You didn't pick it up on your own. You were taught how to do it. All children, when they're small, mimic the people around them. You mimic what the giants are doing. You think that's what you should do because they are a giant and you are small, and you want to be a giant one day. But for whatever reason, if you ever watch children or babies, they soak up what's around them like sponges. And it happens at a young enough age, it goes inside your nervous system. And that's not even discussing what you might have picked up in your mother's womb. Just keep in mind, if your mother went through things when she was pregnant with you that could really negatively impact your nervous system or pattern your nervous system, you got it directly. It is just like you got intravenous feeding. It could be that she was flipping out and crazy, or it could be that horrible things were happening to her. It could just be the environment she was in, most of which, frankly speaking, she had no control over. So if you were from Germany, you could not control over whether you were going to be a baby in your mother's womb in Germany, or you could have been in China, or you could have been in the bottom of Africa. You could be a white person who was in Africa during what was going on. And you look at Africa's history, for as old as most of you are, you could have been really, really rough times there. But you pick it up. Your mother picks it up. And it goes straight from your mother into your nervous system. And are most people aware of what those factors are? No. They don't know where it's all come from. Once you start getting to be 6 or 8 or 10 or even 12, you begin to be able to remember, oh, this happened to me. But let me ask you a question. Who remembers what was going on when you were in your mother's womb? Did you have conscious memories of what was going on when you were in your mother's womb? That's pretty good. I'm serious, because if you remember that, you can start remembering what happened to your nervous system during that time. Because you are going to deal with it your whole life. That's structural. It's structural. And that you have been irritated does not say you can't get it out of your system. You can. It always says that even if you can't completely get it out of your system, you can at least reduce the negative effects. Some people are way more prone to becoming frustrated, angry, depressed. You can name what the whole range of human conditions are. But you want to know why? Because that's what came in from mommy when you were small. That's a powerful memory, because it's not a cognitive memory. It's not a memory of you thinking. It's in your nervous system and the deeper structures of your brain remembering it. And you know, it would be nice if you could remember it happened, but you don't. Your brain remembers it, your unconscious mind remembers it, but you and most people have no conscious awareness that it happened. So try and understand this. Now, there are processes, if you want to go through them, you can begin to remember that stuff. And there are a few rare individuals who do remember it. And most of these individuals who remember don't actually understand the fact of what it did to their nervous system. They just have big memories of things. They don't have fine detail. So let's now look at what you can focus on if you're doing gods, or you're doing meditation, or you're doing any form of Qigong that can help you to reduce these charges, because at any time in your life, you can just get a wave when that stuff starts releasing. For example, one morning Bruce met a student before class, and the student said to him, "Oh, in the middle of that training, I started having a big liver discharge." And that can happen because gods will detoxify you. And there's no way to say what organ is going to detoxify. The liver is just a popular one. Now, your sleep cycle can get whacked out, and you realize you are waking up between 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning, which is the hour of the liver. And the liver is discharging, and that's why you're going to wake up. But you had no idea that was going to happen. Nobody has any idea when they do a detox what's going to come out and what's not going to come out. There is no predictability. But all of a sudden, you're in the thick of it and it happens. And any other thing could happen in your life that could trigger stuff coming out like that also. So here's the basic deal. This even includes what is going on if you get things happening in your dreams that are driving you crazy. A lot of people do. Lots of people get really troubled by their dreams. Some people get wonderful things in their dreams, and a lot of people have big stretches of time when their dreams really make them feel good. So this works even if you practice it before you go to sleep, because this is the situation. The world that you inhabited when you were in your mother's womb was a yin world. It was not a yang world. You aren't jumping out of your mother's stomach. You're getting up and running around. You were there, and it was a very yin world because all it did was absorb. So that was the environment that you lived in when you were in your mother's womb, and which was how you took stuff into your nervous system, unless you had some trauma. If something hit you, that's a yang force, but that is not how most of it happens. Most of it happens as you just absorb, and then your nervous system absorbs, and it changed to whatever it was absorbing. There is no conscious memory of it. No, this was happening or that was happening. Most of it happens and it goes on, but you don't really understand what's going on. And you probably won't understand what's going on ever. But it's a yin environment, and that's the point. And that's the only thing I want you to get just at that, about that essential point. So there are effectively two ways a person could go about trying to dissolve or trying to relax their insides. The actual process of dissolving is not a purely yin technique. It is what in Taoism is called a fire-water technique, because the passive side of it is where you're aware and you let things dissolve. When you decide your mind is going to dissolve, that's a yang technique. But very light fire technique. It's a very light fire technique, but it's a fire technique. And this comes under the classification, and it's always been called within Taoism, Kan and Li. But in the past number of years, when people in the fire tradition talk about Kan and Li, they actually have a very different spin on what that all means. So if you have ever heard the terms Kan and Li, I'm just telling you that all that means is a yin and yang technique. It's where you're working both with the fire in the body and with the water in the body simultaneously. The fire in the body are at the end of the day is light. All these other things are just explanations. But at the end of the day, everybody inside of them has light. Not light you can create by visualizing it. It's in your body. It just has to be released for you to recognize it. The yin side of it, ultimately, is in some way going to be attached to vibration. We have two primary forces in terms of human beings and manifestation. You've got light and you've got vibration. You could say light and sound if you want to make it more simplified, But it's not sound in the sense of it has to be sound you hear. It is that from which sound emerges. And the light that's inside of you is not light like someone shining a flashlight. It's something that's innately inside of you that would engage if it was stopped from emerging. I'm sorry, that would emerge if it was stopped from emerging. In the fire tradition, the big thing is light. Water traditions, yin traditions, and I'm not only talking about Taoism, are always about vibration and amorphousness. This is because a true yin space, like a black hole, has no sense of any kind of boundaries. Light of its own nature can give a sense of boundary. Light goes so far, and there is what is beyond the light, and that's a boundary. So think about, think about what it means to have a powerful emotion. That which in many traditions is called a violent emotion. Depression is a violent yin emotion. Anger is a violent yang emotion. Frustration is a violent yang emotion. Sadness can be a violent yin emotion. Or grief can be a violent yin emotion. The violence is a question of how strong it is. It is one thing to be depressed. I feel kind of bad today. And it's another thing to be so depressed you want to crawl underneath a table and hope there's going to be a landslide so you never have to see the light of day again. And that's what really dark depression is like. Now, anger can be one thing. Oh, I'm just pissed off today. And it's another thing that you want to tear the skin off of a rhinoceros or feel like you could just go out and cut somebody up and laugh while you're doing it all the time. That's when you really reach the highest level of anger. Then it goes to violence. And then there are degrees of how far it can go. So you have yin emotions, and the essential nature of a yin emotion is the essential nature of your nervous system, is you're going to have one of two things if you look for it. Your nervous system is going to have the feeling of collapsing, just as though it's breaking apart and collapsing. You know, like a vampire in the movies. Somebody drives a stake through their heart, and the next thing you know, their body turns to dust. That's what it's like when your body collapses. But what is it like when your nervous system collapses? Because you could have gotten that from the time you were a child. And you have to have, when you are a baby, is that your mother really gave up about important things 30 or 40 times while she was pregnant. And then watch how easily your nervous system will default to that position. When it doesn't know what to do, when you just kind of get, where am I? What am I going to do? That becomes a default position that your body will go back to, and not for a conscious reason. And to what degree? That really depends. And that's why they say if you have one good piece of luck in the world, get good parents. At least get a good mother, because it is going to affect you so strongly, not at a conscious level, but in everything else. And it could come out consciously in terms of pathology, but it might not It's hard to say. It's case by case. So when you get something that's collapsing, then you have the other side, that your nervous system is really going crazy. And that's anxiety. Anxiety is a yang emotion. It's not a yin emotion. If that nervous system craziness goes far enough and you get a panic attack, you could go into paralysis or you could go into going crazy. And that's the last thing you want to be in. There are many historical accounts where people on ships, for instance, for some reason, go overboard. And then it keeps on building up. And the next thing you know, the ship comes into port and everybody on board is dead. Everyone just freaked out and went berserk. So then your system collapses. Your violent emotions can't maintain a steady flow. It's intermittent. And every time there's a gap, you fall into a deeper hole. And likewise, you have the opposite. When your nervous system starts speeding up, you just start freaking out. And the biggest thing you want to do is somehow lash out and go outside yourself so you do not have to feel that thing that's going on inside you. And that's why some people, when their nervous systems go crazy, just become utterly and total bastards. Because all they want to do is send it outside. Because they can't hold it inside without it being terribly, terribly painful. So now we have this issue. In dear old mommy's tummy, it was a yin environment. And that is where some of these patterns, to be the way you are, were put into you long before there was any conscious awareness of what was going on. So your nervous system could take it over and not be normal. But likewise, if you have the ability to be rational, to actually look at what's going on inside you and say, you know, I don't think this is good. I should do something else. What you do then is this. When you practice gods, and there is this anxiety thing, you start forgetting about the fact that your tissues are stretching, and you are going in, and you're going out, and you're going into your body. You want to make your mind as yin as you can possibly make it. Somehow, you've got to make your mind yin. You have to make your mind be in only utter receptivity, with no desire to have your mind go out. Because if you go out, you will easily just flip into a yang mode. And you'll notice the yin, the yang in you, but you won't notice the yin. And you want to make this yin thing inside you. Make your nervous system as yin as possible. And then, from the yin, every motion that you make, going out and in, lengthening in and out, you want them to go into your nervous system and go out of your nervous system. You want to have the feeling of going into your nervous system and going away and out from your nerves. And if you make the inside of your body very, very, very yin, and you could make that happen in your nervous system, you could begin to notice what the state of your nervous system actually is. This is now putting you back to where you were in your mother's womb. This is putting you back to where you were as a small child, just kind of lying around when all this stuff was going on and around you. and you were soaking it up like a sponge, but you may not have had any idea what it was. If it was horrible stuff going on, you may just have thought, oh, please let me sleep. And that's why kids crawl underneath beds and throw the covers over their head, and that's why they see monsters in the cupboard. So you have to get yourself back into that state. Then if you can be in that very yin state, you can try and dissolve whatever's overly yin that's causing the berserk break in your nervous system. You can even try and dissolve through the gaps until it becomes smooth and you thread it. You make the nervous system become continuous. Or if it's very explosive, you can dissolve and try and just connect a thread through the spikes. Because if you get it through the spikes lower. But the access point is by becoming extremely yin. That is how you get into it. You ever watch kids if there is really horrible stuff going on around them? Just go inside with a blank look on their face. You might think that they're spacing out and not paying attention, but yeah, they are. Their unconscious mind is paying absolute attention to what's happening. They are absorbing what's happening, but their conscious mind can't deal with it. So they go to a safer place inside themselves. Some little compartment inside themselves where they can feel safe, but they do soak it up. They go into a yin state. They go back to the womb. It would be great if the womb was a safe place, but that's not terribly reliable. It all depends on what was going on around you. So this is something which I genuinely believe, if you can really, really get this together and understand this, you can teach people and you can help them in their life so much. Because the process I have just described is why so many people are so emotionally unhealthy and why they do so many things that are absolutely crazy, because they don't know that they're doing them. There's an old phrase, are you better on being a catatonic or a total psychotic? Well, I mean, this really is a matter of point of view. Is it better to be here and miss all of life, or are you better off just being someone who wants to get into a war and kill and smash and destroy everything in front of them? Because both of those are responses to a nervous system in a person who can't handle them. And I'm not turning this into a psychology course. First, you have to get extremely yin, because the yin is the way you're going to put yourself back into whatever was the place that made you messed up to begin with. The second thing is that when you get that way, you have to follow your nervous system kind of going away from you and coming into you. That's what your nervous system does. If you look at you and I want to go towards you, my nervous system is going towards you. That's a very different thing than if I want to bring you into my nervous system. It's going to go into me. So when you go out towards things, your nervous system naturally goes out. And when you want to have stuff go into you, your nervous system naturally goes in. And this is what it does. Now, the next thing is that it's a yin, that if it's a yin or it's a yang problem, you have to get rid of the gaps. You're aware, right? Things are starting and stopping and starting and stopping inside you, because that's what's happening inside of you. You're feeling this thing. Then you gap out, and then who knows what's happening inside you, and then all of a sudden you come awake again, not having any idea what just happened, not having any idea of the effect that's having on you. You see something that you can't handle, and you gap out again. And this is the reason why when people get into all kinds of emotional things, they start going away. You literally can wave your hand in front of their face and they will not see you because they are actually not present. They actually, in some place, they're actually in some place inside their unconscious mind. But that place inside their unconscious mind is telling their nerves what to do. So how do you get to a yin state? Now, this is a $64 question. And this is something you have to find yourself. So the first stage is this. If you want to get into doing this, you want to practice God's first. And what is this softness? What is this yin? Whether you are going out or you're going in any movement, you're just getting soft and you're just being receptive to what's happening to you as you do it, with no attempt to try and change it, no attempt to try and change it. And that's how you find out what a state is. But as soon as you try and change it, you have now moved into a yang mode. And that is what occurs. So the first thing is, whatever the movement is, just become receptive. For a while, you're not even going to care if you're doing the movement that well. You're not going to be concerned with two things. That you're only going to be concerned with two things. That you're extremely yin, even if your hands are going out, and you're getting more yin as your hands are coming in. And you're still getting yin feelings and trying to get into that yin space. The next thing is that once you can get what that yin space is, now it is that you have to really lock into and feel what your nervous system is doing as you're going out. And what is your nervous system doing as you're going in? Is it buzzing? Are there gaps? What's going on? So you recognize what is happening, because when you have a yang move, it is most likely going to make your nervous system go yang. And a yin move coming in is more likely to make your nervous system go yin. But then you start tracing what's going on. And the next step, you now just start focusing on your nervous system. Is it clean going out, or is it clean coming in? And then you have to start dissolving whether it is you have crinkles or wrinkles, like a shirt without wrinkles. That means your nervous system is smoothly going in and going out. But if your shirt becomes all crumpled up, that means that every single place that there is a crinkle that is a place where your nervous system is freezing up, and then you dissolve it. It isn't going to matter if it is a yang moving out or a yin going in. But if you can't get into the yin space, which is what essentially is how you were when you were imprinted, it is very, very hard for you to undo the imprinting. You could push it around, but you can't usually get rid of it. This is where in basic Taoist water traditions, where they talk about dissolving, they never talk about changing anything. Things will change. And here the principle that's worked on, that's working on, is this, the old Taoist phrase, which you've heard several times before. If you get rid of what is false, then what remains is what is true. If you get rid of the false, only the true can remain. If you get rid of where all these gaps are, because that's false, that's not the normal functioning of your nervous system. That's how your nervous system was imprinted, was conditioned to behave in a certain way. But that's not how not the normal state of the human being. It's a trained state. It's like you have a dog, a very sweet, nice dog. Now you can train that dog to bite anything that moves. Or you can train that dog that if someone picks their hand up, that it becomes terrified and lies on the floor. Neither is the dog's natural state. Dogs are not naturally afraid, nor will they just bite you for no reason. But you can train them to that. So your nervous system could have been trained into whatever it is that's causing these ridiculous emotions to happen inside you. And you can begin to recognize that violent emotions are happening. I don't say normal emotions. You need emotions. They are normal. You can't think properly without emotions. Emotions are what make life on a human level worth living. But when they go really berserk, that is what makes them on a human level pure hell. But if you're aware of it, understand the mechanism through which it is happening and slowly start changing it. Now, the only danger in this is that you never want to take it so far that nothing bothers you anymore. You just want to take it to the point where these extremes go away. And as a matter of fact, that will usually turn most people into much kinder and more decent people. In a very, very small minority of people who are psychopaths to begin with, it could be turned the wrong way so that they don't even care about what they are doing. This has been done all over the world in many, many situations. You just have to make sure that what it is not doing is making you numb to the emotions you have. What you simply want to do is take away the excess condition. That's all you want to do. Remember that anything that can have a very positive effect can also have a very negative one. So, as you're practicing sometimes this week, maybe you can play a little with seeing if you can identify and maintain a yin state as you're practicing. thinking about this as a possible tool that you might find useful, either for yourself or someone else. Thoughts or questions? Okay. Well, thank you.
Thanks, David.
Thank you,
Thank you,
David.
David.
There's a lot there.
Have a great week.
Yep.
Yes, I will send it to
Yeah.
you. You can.
Yes, please do.
Yeah,
I'm,
a lot
I'm
to
sure you
absorb.
need to read it yourself again.
Yeah,
Mm.
no, it's helpful to, read it a number of times.
Good. Have a great week.
You also. Bye,
Yeah.
everybody.
Bye, guys.
I forgot to mention World Tai Chi Day is coming the 20th.
Oh, when is that? 29th? Is that what
Yeah.
you said?
And
29th, okay.
April, yeah. And Jonas Sanchez has done a kind of a neat thing. He's organized the demonstration this year. Not going to be just random people doing stuff, but he's arranged it to demonstrate the development of Tai Chi through various styles. And I'll be doing this style.
Cool. Okay.
Nice.
So I think that's going to be really interesting to have the narration to tie those together and see a number of different possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it going to be online, David, or is it going to be in person?
I think it's only going to be in person. I'm not 100% sure of that. I'll verify that, but I don't think it's going to be online.
Okay. Are they
In
do
Colchester?
you know where
Yep,
they doing
in
it back in the
Colchester.
Colchester Green?
Yep.
Colchester. That's right.
And
I'll put it on the calendar.
yeah, if you happen to be able to get out of work that day. I know that's not easy.
Yeah. Nice.
So, any woo questions?
Could you review the last few postures of the form? I find that it's a little murky. Kind of, I guess, from what's the name of the posture there with the bow?
Shoot the tiger with the bow.
Yeah. Kind of from the end of Shoot the Tiger with the Bow,
I know
double
what you
cannon
mean,
points into Play Peak Pie. I feel like every time I'm doing it, I'm doing different things with my feet, and so
Sure.
I know I shouldn't be making it up.
That's easy to do sometimes.
How do you know I'm not making it up?
Whatever feels right.
That's okay, dear. I'm paying you to make it up. That's fine.
So let's see. Let me go to the kick. Actually, back it up a little. So there's the kick, push down, pick up the bow and shoot the tiger.
Mm-hmm.
Rotate and shift back, forward, and step to the side and shift into double cannon punch. And then you shift forward, reset the right foot, facing forward, and you release that left foot so that you can do play peepaw and then sink and rise.
Mhm.
Okay.
Question in there?
No, just seeing you do it clears it up. I was thinking of like a cheat step at the end of double cannon punch. And so
Oh,
then I needed to like step back into play peepaw because I was kind of doing like a follow through step.
Mhm.
oh,
So then I needed to, add another step to get back into play peepaw.
yeah.
Um,
So it
Okay.
is, you're right. It is, you come to the double cannon punch and then you do shift forward and turn to get that foot in position
Right, for that.
for play
That's in the
peepaw
corner.
mm,
and sink. Yeah.
okay.
You want
Okay.
to
Nice.
try that, or I don't know if you have room there.
I'll do the best I can
Okay.
with what I got. I can't really do the kick, but
Okay.
Well, I see the problem. Yeah. Get my foot out now.
Yeah, I see the problem with their space. Um,
yeah, a little challenging.
yeah, the thing I noticed actually is in Shoot the Tiger. Let's see, you've done this. Better if I turn it this way, maybe. We have that push, and then you're rotating and shifting back, and that sweeps the hands. And you have to be careful here not to push the hands past the center line of the body.
Mm,
So the right hand could come to the center line of the body, but not past it.
Mm.
okay.
And then
Uh-huh.
as you shift, the arms separate.
Mhm.
There's no rotation
Mhm.
there, it's just a shift.
Mhm.
And then turn, shift back, and release. Shift forward, stroke. So as you step, your hands are stroking, the back of your hands are stroking the kidneys, drawing that energy so that you're ready as you turn to go into double cannon.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to do this at a time when you're have more room.
Yeah. Okay. But at least that helps clarify what I'm trying to do there.
Okay, good.
Because I think it was getting a little sloppy, at least for me.
Well, it's also interesting because we're really kind of facing varying different directions. Oh, right, there's that. And we're doing things, and we're doing some things we've never done before in the flow, and then other things that we're familiar with, but in a different position.
Yeah.
Right.
Like play peepaw is to a corner we've not done it before, right? So yeah, I think it's kind of it's an interesting ending.
Yeah. It's interesting all the way through.
Well, the whole thing is, yes, but it took me a while to figure this one out. So
Yeah.
and I'm probably still not there, but yes.
Well,
Particularly Shoot the Tiger. I think that's good reminder about the middle. Yeah.
yeah.
Totally forgot that one.
You know, that's that principle of the hands not crossing the center line of the body. It's more important than I think I realized certainly in the first few years of my Tai Chi practice. But in the Wu style, it really is kind of almost an absolute. And we obviously have places where we have the hands in the center, but they don't cross the center.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And what is the energetic reason for that?
My understanding is that that prevents actually confusion of the energy in the body.
Okay.
In other words, that it keeps you focused so that the energy of each side is clear.
Okay, yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, okay.
I've never heard any long discussion about the reason for that, but that's my understanding of it. I don't know. It just feels, now that I've been doing that for a while, it just feels right too.
Right, yeah.
But good question. So obviously you could do the form in the yin state too if you want.
Oh, yeah.
Which would be an interesting exercise. It is an interesting exercise because when we allow ourselves to be aware of the martial aspect, it immediately becomes very yang.
Right.
And so I think that's also another reason why we also practice slowly as well as certainly eventually more quickly. You can do it both ways. So,
although one of the things I am drawn to in it, I think, is the back and forth between the yin and the yang.
oh yeah.
So like, oh, that would be like, yeah, that'd be quite a discipline to have to do one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not suggesting that on a regular basis you would.
Right. Now I hear what you're saying. Right. Right.
Only, you know, this probably all occurred to me in a way, or I was reminded of it because we went through a period of several periods recently of one kind of difficulty or another. A number of things. Jane's mom died. That was kind of a anxious period. We had a lot of water difficulty at one period, and I've just have thought about how being able to use this method of becoming yin could help decrease anxiety in times of stress. Actually could perhaps be a good thing. So,
Definitely.
So anything else at the moment?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Take care.
All right. And David, be in touch
You
with me if my check doesn't show up.
Oh,
I'm gonna also try to start sending them early to you. Both because of me and the post office.
well,
when is the next time they're due? I'm probably almost there by now, right?
well, I think it's 2 or 3 classes away. I'm not sure. I'd have to look.
Okay.
But it'll show up.
I think it will. I think probably some mix up between when I put it in the box here to go out, like where that Rick goes to the post office, and then when it actually got out, and then yeah, it shouldn't take 4 days to get to you.
Well, you know, every once in a while, with our current mail situation, nationally,
Uh-huh.
we've had some really long
Oh, we have to.
deliveries all of a sudden, just sporadic.
Yeah, we've had the same problem. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So
yeah, I know. I know we have to readjust to that, right? We have
Yeah.
to stop thinking things get, I mean, I remember wasn't that many years ago when they said if you put a letter in the mail in Norwich, it won't arrive in another Norwich address the next day. And that was like always a given. And
Yeah.
now it's at least 2 days and maybe more. It's like the
Yeah.
same town.
right, right.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Hmm.
you will get it. But
Thank
yeah.
you.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you, everybody. Have
Bye,
a good
guys.
day. Have a
See you
good
soon.
week.
Bye. Good luck, Adam.
Thank you.
Okay.